architects and contractors and clients, it's kind of like this three-part relationship that's could be very often difficult, especially in single-family projects. I was wondering if this relationship is kind of the same for you guys as landscape architects. Like, you know, sometimes here the contractor would kind of play architects or take over a role that maybe they shouldn't be taking. Does that happen also in your profession? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Before I answer that, one thing to keep in mind about doing landscape architecture for residential is the biggest distinguishing, the biggest thing that separates our work from your work is that you have to have a home, right? You have to have four walls to keep you protected from the elements, right? Mm-hmm. Like this is your shelter, right? Nobody has to have a nice backyard.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So the difference is our work tends to fall into a luxury item. Right. And your work kind of like, if anyone's hiring an architect, like it's a combination. It's a want and a desire, but it's also required to survive.
Right. Yep.
So for ours, it's a luxury item. So right off the bat, we're dealing with something that you don't necessarily have to have. You don't have to have a pool. You don't have to have a barbecue, a pizza oven, a gazebo, all of that stuff. So when both the husband and the wife, or the wife or husband all have to be on board that this is something that they really want, and it's not one person pressuring the other. Okay, so that's the first thing that we start off at, kind of an advantage and disadvantage in regards to, like, once they're working with us, it's something that they want, right?
Yeah.
So then, like, now let's get into the relationship with the contractor, like overstepping his or her boundaries. So it kind of works in two ways. So one, you definitely, like, I have my set of contractors that I love and who understand what I'm doing, and they get it, and they're not going to override me.
Right.
But when they hire their own, and you're still doing construction observation, and I know you guys have experienced this, a contractor kind of pulls the wife to the side, and he's like, you know, I could get this material at $3 a square foot. And I got this guy in Sun Valley, right? And if we could just bring it over here, it's going to look the same.
Yeah.
You know, when they subvert you, that's when it becomes a problem to us. And it happens to us all the time, right? Yeah. Like, I'll specify, let me try to give you an example. Let's see. A lot of it has to do with the hardscape side of things.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because it could be expensive, and they'll try to, like, lower the material. Like, they'll go from, like, a ipe wood to, a stained pine or something like that.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah, that's a big deal, right? Because now you're not just talking about aesthetics, you're talking about integrity.
Yeah.
Right. And now if they approach me, the contractors, if the good ones, they'll say, hey, Michael, I actually have this product that I've been using on other sites and it works. What do you think? And I'll look it up and I'll go, great. Thank you for introducing it to me. This saves you money. This works the same. I don't think it takes away from the design concept. Go for it. Right. That's when it works out well. And it's even smart to do.
Sure.
But my strategy with contractors is really early on, just like I fight for the field of landscape architecture to be brought on really early. Like, I'm a big advocate and a proponent of that. I bring the contractors on early on. If I know that I'm going to use it, I ask them questions. I listen to their ideas. I make them feel like they're involved, which they are, right, in the design. And a lot of times my designs are better because they're the ones building it. They're the ones that are like, look, it's not going to work like this. We need to change this material. Or if we make the arbor 1 foot shorter, then we don't have to cut 1,000 pieces, because we could just, the arbor comes in like the lengths of wood come in this size already. Let's just build it at that. And it's like, oh yeah, like duh, that's an oversight. Like, let's do it that way.
Yeah. It's funny to me how just having a simple conversation at the beginning can really determine the trajectory for the whole thing in some cases, you know, and just being open and being nice and being whatever can just go a really long way. I mean, there are some folks out there that no matter what you do, they're going to be not good to work with, but then they just go on a list and you don't ever work with them again.
I call it the Karen fee.
The Karen fee.
I mean, I don't know if you guys do this, but I got called out to do a project on a hillside property, and right away I knew this woman was going to be a nightmare, like total Karen. And I tripled the design fee.
Wow, and 3 times.
She never called back, and that's what I wanted. I was like, I was very polite and stuff. And then when I put together my scope of work proposal, I mean, I came in like some ridiculous number, and because she had called me and texted me 5 times before we even had the consultation fee.
Yeah.
And then she said this is the kicker. So there's 2 kickers. One of them was, she's like, I would really like to have me and 12 of my girlfriends all be involved in the design process.
Oh, no.
And I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
No, it's not a bridesmaid's party. Like, keep it down.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, could you imagine the nightmare of that? And then she said, well, we want to do this pool on this hillside, but we don't want to do it permitted. And I was like, lady,
man,
red flag.
Like, that's a nightmare. She's like, I think my landscaper can do it. And I was like, no. So
that's amazing. That I mean, okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is our industry, so I'm biased and I know it. But still, like, how do you think that for any adult that's ever worked in a group, how do you think that having 12 people contribute in a field that they don't know is going to be a good idea? Or even if the field they do know, that's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea. I mean, there was another legitimate scenario that I had that I really wanted. I really wanted this job because it was a historical preservation site, and it would have been fun. I don't want to mention the name, but it was very high profile, and I was shortlisted and, you know, I had somebody in the inside kind of that would have vouched for me on the board. And when it got closer to putting in my proposal, he was like, yeah, there's 9 people on this board that are really passionately involved. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be rough. And again, I think I doubled my design fee on that one, and I didn't get it because I didn't want it because I just knew it's not going to be a pleasurable experience.